Alright, so we have to create a C++ program which checks if a word is a palindrome. So what's a palindrome? So a palindrome just means the reverse of a word being the same as the original word. Example, if we have a word like mom, reversing mom is still going to give us mom, which is M-O-M-M-O-M. So let's start. So we start by writing our mother function, which is the int main, and then return 0. Okay. All right. So let's start creating our variables. So let's create a variable called string. Okay. So this string should store the reverse of our original word. Now let's create another variable, another string variable. Okay, we are using string because we will be storing letters and then letters or words. So let's create another variable called word. So this word will have something like cout enter a word, which we are going to do c in. So the user is going to enter for this variable word. So anything the user enters will be stored in the variable called word. Before we reverse, you have to know these two stuff. One, the length of the word which the user is going to type, and then two, you have to know the indexes of the word which the user is going to type. Okay, so assuming C++ has this function called the length function, which checks the length of the word which the user types. So let's demonstrate it. So let's say I do cout cout word. So cout word dot length. Okay, so now we know what the word variable is storing. The word variable is storing the users what the user is about to type. Okay, now this is how to find the length, and then now let's see how we find the indexes. So this is a concept of arrays. Okay, so assuming the user types something like mom, a word like mom. Okay, so a word like mom, checking the indexes, so we can do something like cout. So we know 0 is the first index, which is going to give us m. Okay, and then 1, which is the second index, is going to give us 0, and then 2, which is the last index, is going to give us the m. Okay, so we want to run this and then see the length and then see the results of this one before we continue. Okay, so just enter a word. So assuming I enter the same mom, and then okay, so the first one is a length. So it says it has a length of 3, and then the first index, which is the index 0, printed mom, the index 1 printed 0, and then the last index, which is the index 2, printed m. So now since we know the length is 3 and then we know how to work with the indexes, let's continue to reverse our program. Okay, all right, so to reverse we use a for loop. For int, and then we are saying int I is equal to the word dot length. So we are trying to say we want to start with the length of the word. So assuming the user types a word like mom. Okay, so the whole length of this mom is 3, right? Okay, and then we are saying length minus 1. So what do we mean? So meaning 3 minus 1 is going to give us 2. The reason why we are doing 2 is that when we checked when we checked the index of this mom, okay, we know the first index, which is mom, which is mom sorry, which is we know the m, this m stands for index 0, okay, so we have something like 0, and then we know the o stands for index 1, okay, and then we know the last m stands for index 0. So meaning if we are indexing this word mom, we only have from 0 to 2, but the total length of this mom is 3, which I mean so I'm just trying to explain what we have here, which is the total length of the word minus 1. So what we have here is that the reason why we have this one here is that we just want to work with the indexes, which is from 0 to 1 and then 2. So we know what the total length minus 1 is going to give us the last index of mom, which is, we know the last index of mom is 2, okay, so we want to get this 2, which is the last index. So it means that any word which we are going to type, we take the whole length of the word and then minus 1, which is going to give us the last index of that word. Okay, so let's continue, and then we say I is greater or equal to 2 is equal to 0. Okay, so we are starting from the last index of the word, and then we end at the first index of the word, which is 0. Isn't it interesting? And then we are decreasing. Okay, so we are about to finish our program. So the next thing we do is we say the reverse so we use the reverse variable which we created, reverse, okay, and then plus equals to the indexes. So we know we use I as the variable, something like the initializer, okay, the thing which we iterate. Okay, so this is our last, and then what we do is we say if word is the same as, so we use the double equal sign operator, which means the same. If the same as the reverse, then what do we do? Then see out the word and then say it's a palindrome. What if it's not the same? So if it's not the same, that's where we bring the else statement and then we say what is not a palindrome. So this is the whole structure, okay, and then to explain this side again, we are just saying I should start from the total length, okay. So if we pick something like mom, we know the total length of mom is 3. Mom has 3 total length, but we did the minus 1 to get the last index because we know the index of mom, okay. So we know the first index of mom, which is the index 0, is m, the index o is 1, the index m is 2. We have nothing like 3 as the last index of mom. No, mom ends with the index of 2, which is the last index, okay. Therefore we use the minus 1, okay. So this one applies to all words which we type. Now let's run this, save, then run. Alright, so we test our program, okay. So let's start, and then it says enter a word. So assuming I enter a word like civic, so is civic a palindrome? Let's check. It says civic is a palindrome, so our program is working. So let's try another word like mom. Is mom a palindrome? Mom is a palindrome. Let's try another word like madam. Is madam a palindrome? Madam is a palindrome. So let's try one last word like sir. Is sir a palindrome? Sir is not a palindrome.